Hey guys, welcome back. Joining me now is a friend of the show, career expert for Monster, Vicki Salemi. Hey Vicki, nice to see you again.
Great seeing you too, Julia.
Hey, look, it's a difficult time for a lot of our young viewers. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The first question I have to ask you for hopefully none of our viewers are in this situation, but I imagine some of them are. I recently read a poll by the National Association of Continuing Education, and they found that 22% of the companies they surveyed are considering retracting the job offers they already gave out to recent grads or future grads, right? And that is just terrible for people, even though I'm sure they have a good reason to do that. And just to be clear, because they're considering it doesn't mean they will definitely do that. But I would imagine some of our viewers will face that grim situation down the road. What would you say as a career expert to these seniors, grad students, recent grads who all of a sudden finding their, livelihood and their plans all vanish?
That's such a great question, Julia. And it's an unfortunate predicament that hopefully viewers watching, it doesn't affect them directly, but perhaps someone they know. You can do a few things. First of all, is just realize that this is a temporary situation. So if your job offer got rescinded, in a minute I'll talk about how to get back on your feet and into the job search. But at Monster, we are optimistic that things are going to get better and there will be more opportunities down the road, meaning more job offers that you can hopefully accept and start working. So what you could do is if your offer has been rescinded, unfortunately, you should not put it on your resume because that will come back during a background check thinking that you were an employee when really you weren't because you didn't start your first day yet. The good news, because there is some good news in this, is that your interview skills must be really sharp for having gotten the job. Hopefully you negotiated. So you are able to just go right back out there. Your resume is probably pristine. So start job searching today. And we have a lot of resources and information on our website on monster.com, especially there's a page dedicated to the coronavirus and what to do now, work and finding jobs right now in this very moment. So I think that can help people as well. Just stay optimistic and keep at it.
I remember when I was a senior and I sent my resume to some of the older people and they're like, oh, can you please look at this? One of the things I distinctively remember they told me was, Julia, your resume is like a blank piece of paper. I felt the only thing, maybe incorrectly, but I felt at the time the only thing I had going for me was the fact that I was in school. Therefore, people didn't expect that I would have too much experience. For all the seniors or, second, third year grad students out there, if they can't secure something by the end of the school year or by the end of the summer, wouldn't they be in a worse situation? Because then how do you explain that gap?
Yeah, well, I'm a former corporate recruiter, and I think right now the gap is just common, that we know that there will be many gaps on many resumes. So it's not going to be unheard of to ask, okay, what did you do over the summer? And you said, I was looking for a job. That's perfectly fine. We care more about, what did you do with your time? Did you volunteer at a local organization? Even if you're at home, are you connecting with people professionally, conducting informational interviews? And I should add, according to Monster Research, more than half of current seniors, future college grads, basically are saying they're applying to jobs that they feel overqualified for, or they would feel okay with accepting a lower salary just because they feel desperate to get a job. So again, we want to be optimistic about this time in terms of there will be more jobs hopefully in the future. But to your point, Julie, and your question about the summer, say, think outside the box. Maybe there are part-time opportunities. Right now, there are more opportunities in healthcare as well as deliveries, truck driving, pharmaceuticals, groceries, loans and mortgages. So perhaps just, to have some money coming in and also have something on your resume, try to look for those type of roles that may not be in your direct career path or your dream job, but can help get you there, because not only will you develop new skills, you'll earn money, stay busy, and make connections.
The difficulty to that is, and this doesn't just apply to seniors or recent grads, is say I am I don't know, a waitress, right? And I've been working in a restaurant and right now I lost my job. I can't become a nurse practitioner overnight because yes, I know healthcare is looking for people, duh, but it's a highly specialized field. How can you make the pivot at this time, even if I want to?
Yeah, that's such a great question, Julia, because some jobs do require specific skills and or certification. There are some jobs though in healthcare, let's say medical billing, medical examiner, they don't require a specialty. I mean, so what you should really do is focus on your soft skills. So let's say as a waitress, you are working long hours, you're dedicated, you probably have really strong customer service skills. And perhaps you look for a job, even if it's working remotely in customer service, like a company that does text messaging. So think about other industries. Focus on your skill sets, what you can market, what you're really good at, and what you want to continue doing, and also where the demand is.
And lastly, I think you rose a really good point, and I think at this point you should think beyond your salary. Everybody wants a high-paying job, but given the pandemic and the labor market, it's not always possible that you get the most high-paying job right away. Just so I know and our viewers know, some of the states right now, it's not legal to ask your past salary history. Right?
Right.
Like, under what circumstance can they ask you a related question to that? And then under what condition are you supposed to disclose something like that if, you think it may help you?
Yeah. I'm trying to think how to tackle this because there's so many components to it. First of all, before you interview, I would just know what your rights are in your own state. For instance, in New York, it's illegal to ask your salary history, and with that be your current salary. So what you can do to pivot, if they do ask you that, and if you want to politely and professionally call them out on it without being antagonistic, you could say, well, what I do know, what I can disclose is, my salary requirements. And by the way, what does this job pay? Because you also want to get into that talk of not only what you're requiring, but what is their salary range for that job. And your best way to tackle or to handle that is to provide a range, because you don't want to go too low and you also don't want to go too high and overprice yourself. So you want to be in that sweet spot. And that's just more of a conversation during an interview than, let's say, an email.
Yeah, because from what I saw, especially these days when we're all grounded, right? A lot of these conversations, they happen over email. You
Right.
can't really gauge, oh, am I pricing it too high? Because I guess for, people watching the show, they rather have a job than not having a job at all, even if, they take a, I don't know, 10% cut or whatever, right?
Right.
Then how do you gauge if it's an email conversation and not hurt yourself?
Yeah, I would try to get off email. Like I would try to get out of the email mode and just say, do you have time for a quick 2-minute call? It might be easier to just chat, because then you also want to build rapport with them. Because with email, let's say if you do know what the range is, you've done your research with colleagues and you know what your range is, and also what amount you would accept, and also what amount you'd walk away from. So you can say, send an email, say, can we chat for a few minutes? Because it gets awkward. I mean, when I was in recruiting, we always had those conversations because the recruiters felt awkward too. Like we wanted to know what was their requirement, but it was just much more efficient to speak than to put it. But I know to your point, they may just feel like, okay, I have to respond, but you don't always have to respond. You don't, especially when it comes to salaries and negotiations, because you also can speak with them, because what if they come back to you and say, that's too high? You then have the opportunity to say, well, I'm interested in other positions in this range. You can make it more of a dialogue, whereas email feels more like a monologue.
I'll give you the last word since you know what you're talking about. Just tell our viewers some of the last tips you have in this difficult time.
Yes. keep your options open, set up job alerts on Monster so opportunities land in your inbox. As soon as you see an opportunity available that you're interested in, apply that day. Don't wait, don't question yourself. You can question the job when you get an offer on the table, but until then, start thinking how you can best market yourself for a variety of positions that are in demand. And above all, this is temporary. Keep at it, keep looking. We're optimistic in the future there will be more jobs available and more hiring.
Okay, great to see you today, Vicki.
Same here. Thanks for having me.